Hi, my name is Jonah and I'll be doing the IT Security Essentials presentation. So the trend that I've chosen is cyber espionage. What it actually is the unauthorized spying or access of a computer or network through the deployment of viruses, which this is used to view or destroy data. The top industries that are victims to cyber espionage, as you can see on the right, public, manufacturing, professional, even government as well. Cyber espionage features external threats. However, in certain cases, uh, employees from the certain company may even misuse the data as well. Cyber espionage has been on the rise with 247 total incidents and 155 with confirmed data disclosure. So as you can see on the right, there's actually a trend of increase in such data breaches incidents from 2014 involving the JP Morgan Chase and all the way up to 2016 where Yahoo has a huge data breach as well. And from the data, as you can see here, it's updated in October 17. Okay, back to cyber espionage. So, in the process of cyber espionage, most typically the attacker will start off with the method called phishing. So what this is actually where the hacker disguises himself as a certain person or reputable entity, and he communicates with a certain person, which in this case is the victim, and sends the victim links or attachments in which the victim clicks on the link or attachment, and this link or attachment does a variety of functions. After phishing is done, other methods are used as well, such as backdoor and C2 malware. And C2 malware is used as the access point. So, what actually backdoor is a method where the attacker bypasses normal authentication or encryption in a computer system. Backdoor takes in the form of a program or even in the OS itself. It's a small part which is usually hidden. And for C2 malware, it's also known as command and control servers. What this is actually used by attackers to maintain communications with the compromised system within the target network. Okay, moving on to recommendations. So these are some of the recommendations that are written in the report of Verizon Enterprises. The first one being endpoint protection. So this includes the use and update of antiviruses, use data execution prevention (DEP), endpoint threat detection and response (ETDR). Well, back to the report. It says that 90% of the cyber espionage cases involve suspicious software. Therefore, Verizon Enterprises has recommended us to use endpoint protection so that this secures us from being attacked by such softwares. Going deeper, actually, what data execution prevention is, it's actually a feature provided under Windows, the Windows OS. It was provided since the Windows Vista all the way up to now the Windows 10. Endpoint threat detection and response. This is actually a tool that focuses on detecting and investigating the suspicious activities, such as, for example, that suspicious software. Earlier on, we've also talked about the attacker using email as a communication channel, right? So, email protection is also one of the recommended users, recommended solutions to cyber espionage. Such methods include spam protection, block lists, and also reporting the suspected phishing attempts that you receive. Next is network protection. In detail, what we would be using and what is recommended is actually the 2FA. 2FA short form for two-factor authentication. What two-factor authentication system is actually an extra layer of protection for, in this case, your network, where you could use maybe a PIN, a password, for example, to further protect your network. Okay, so now the relationship to our class lessons. So we've talked earlier on the recommendations given by Verizon Enterprises. All these actually goes down to the category of preventive controls. So, for example, in the technical aspect of preventive controls, they talked about antivirus, the DEP, the ETDR, as well as spam protection. What all these does is it actually prevents such cyber espionage from happening. On the administrative side, hiring employees effectively, so checking the employee before their background before actually hiring them. This prevents any internal data misuse, and also building awareness in the company or the government sector or whatever industry of cybersecurity within the organization. Yeah, and then moving on, um, there's the IAAA, and the last A refers to authentication. So we've earlier on talked about two-factor authentication, and in relation to what we learned in class about two-factor authentication is where it's actually an extra layer, like I said earlier on, where you can use a card, a token, a PIN, a password, or whatever to keep your network or whatever they are keeping safe even safer. Okay, moving on, we talked about in class we actually talked about the CMA. CMA is actually the Computer Misuse Act. This refers to the unauthorized access to computer materials, the access with intent to commit or facilitate commission of offense. Um, for example, cyber espionage. That itself goes against that itself goes against the law according to the CMA, and uh, in turn that relates to what we learned in class. Okay, so now fitting into a bigger picture. So with the world moving into being more technology centric, for example, we have internet access from our education system to even our businesses. Um, the risk for cyber espionage to happen is really huge. It is only going to increase even more, in fact. Um, Therefore, looking at the bigger picture, taking into considerations the recommendations from Verizon Enterprises, I think implementing all the recommendations and security preventions would really help prevent such attacks from happening. And it should be implemented into every industry, from government businesses to manufacturing, etc. Okay, I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.